The rumble of motorcycles shook the windows of Rosie's diner as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the New Mexico desert in shades of orange and red dot inside. 23-year-old waitress Maya Torres wiped down the counter for what felt like the 100th time that day, her feet hurting in her old sneakers. The dinner rush had finally ended, leaving only a few customers scattered among the red vinyl booths. She heard them before she saw them, the deep, loud roar of Harley-Davidson engines pulling into the gravel parking lot. Maya's hand paused. Mid-dash wiped dot through the window. She counted 5 motorcycles, their shiny chrome catching the last rays of daylight. The lead rider got off first, a huge man with a leather vest covered in patches that showed he was a member of the Hells Angels. His weathered face was partly hidden by a gray beard that reached his chest, and his arms were covered in detailed tattoos that told stories of a life Maya could only imagine. The other customers' conversations died to whispers. Old Fred, sitting at his usual corner booth, suddenly became very interested in his coffee. Maya felt her heartbeat speed up, but she straightened her spine and grabbed a stack of menus. Her grandma had always taught her that respect was earned by giving it first. The bells above the door chimed as the group entered. The big man in front, his vest Red Bull above the patch, held the door open with surprising gentleness. Behind him, another biker carefully wheeled in a small figure in a wheelchair. Maya's professional smile faltered for just a moment when she saw the little girl. She couldn't have been more than 7 years old, with dark curls that framed a delicate face. Her body was stiff in the special wheelchair, her hands curled inward, her head tilted to one side. Cerebral palsy, Maya recognized immediately. Her younger cousin had the same condition. Evening, Maya said warmly, approaching the group. Welcome to Rosie's. Right this way. Bull's hard expression softened slightly as he nodded. Need a table that'll fit the wheelchair? Of course. Maya led them to a large corner booth, quickly removing a chair to make space for the little girl's wheelchair. The bikers settled around the table with practiced ease, their leather creaking. Their presence somehow both scary and protective as they formed a circle around the child. Maya handed out menus, her eyes drawn back to the little girl. And what's your name, sweetheart? Bull answered before anyone else. This is my daughter, Lily. His voice, rough as gravel, carried a tenderness that surprised Maya. She can understand everything you say, but she can't talk back. Maya crouched down to Lily's level, making eye contact with the girl whose bright hazel eyes were alert and smart despite her body's limitations. It's nice to meet you, Lily. I'm Maya. Do you know what you'd like to eat tonight? Lily's eyes moved toward her father, a complex communication Maya had learned to read from her cousin. She'll have the chicken tenders and mashed potatoes, Bull said, cut up real small, and a chocolate milkshake. You got it. Maya smiled at Lily again. And in that small smile, something shifted, the kind of moment where quiet kindness begins changing lives. If this moment made you feel something, pause and common kindness matters. The other bikers ordered burgers, steaks, and enough fries to feed a small army. And as Maya took their orders, she couldn't help noticing the dynamic at the table. These rough-looking men, who probably scared most people on sight, were completely devoted to this little girl. They joked with each other, but their eyes constantly flicked back to Lily, checking on her, making sure she was comfortable. When Maya returned with their drinks, she found Bull carefully adjusting Lily's position in her chair, his huge hands surprisingly gentle. The other bikers, Snake, Razor, Torch, and Gunner, had pushed their own drinks aside to make sure Lily's chocolate milkshake was within her father's reach. Food will be up in about 15 minutes, Maya said, setting down sweet tea and beers. Appreciate it, Bull replied, and Maya caught something in his eyes, tiredness maybe, or the weight of carrying the world on shoulders built for it. Maya returned to the counter, but her attention kept drifting back to the corner booth. She watched as Bull carefully held the milkshake while Lily drank through a straw, his hand completely steady. She saw how the other bikers lowered their voices, softened their laughter, careful not to startle Lily. She noticed the small special bib Bull tied around his daughter's neck with the practiced ease of someone who'd done it 1,000 times. Maya felt something tighten in her chest at the quiet tenderness of it all, at the way love showed itself in these small, patient movements. If seeing this kind of care surprised you, take a second and tap like for the people who show love when no one's watching. The food came up and Maya loaded her tray. As she approached the table, she overheard their conversation. Been on the road 3 days straight, Snake was saying. Bull, man, you gotta sleep more than 2 hours at a stretch. I'm fine, Bull grunted. You're not fine, Razor cut in. You're running yourself into the ground. When's the last time you had a hot meal that wasn't truck stop food? I eat, Bull said, his tone ending the discussion, but his eyes told a different story, the bone-deep tiredness of a caregiver who never stopped, never rested, Never asked for help. Maya set down their plates, arranging everything within easy reach. When she reached Lily's chicken tenders and mashed potatoes, she paused. Bull was trying to manage his own meal while preparing to feed his daughter, and Maya could see the problem forming. He'd either eat cold food, let Lily wait, or try to juggle both and fail at each. "Would you like me to help feed Lily while you eat?" Maya asked quietly. "I have a cousin with CP. I know the drill. Small bites. Watch for swallowing. Take it slow." Bull looked up at her, surprise clear on his weathered face. For a moment Maya thought he might refuse, but then Lily made a small sound, her eyes moving between Maya and her father, and something in Bull's expression cracked. "You sure?" he asked. "It takes a while. You got other tables." Maya glanced around the diner. Fred still nursing his coffee, a young couple lost in each other. An elderly woman focused on her crossword. "I've got time," Maya said gently. "Besides, Lily and I are going to be friends, aren't we?" Lily's eyes brightened, and Bull nodded once. A sharp dip of his chin that somehow carried more gratitude than words ever could. Maya pulled up a chair between Bull and Lily. She picked up the fork and cut a small piece of chicken tender, making sure it was manageable. "Okay, Lily, here comes the first bite. You ready?" Lily's mouth opened slightly, and Maya carefully placed the food inside, watching as the girl chewed slowly. It was a process that couldn't be rushed. Each bite took time, required attention. Demanded patience. Maya kept up a gentle stream of conversation, talking about the desert sunset, about a road runner she'd seen that morning, about anything and everything that might make this little girl feel normal, feel seen, feel like more than just a set of medical challenges. Beside her, she heard Bull pick up his own fork and take his first bite of hot food he could actually taste, instead of wolfing down cold meals between stops. The quiet conversation of his brothers resumed, some of the tension easing from the table. "Good job, Lily," Maya murmured after a successful swallow. "You're doing great. Ready for some mashed potatoes?" As she worked, Maya became aware of Bull watching her, not with suspicion, but with something closer to wonder. She glanced at him between bites. "What?" she asked softly. "You're a natural," he said. "Most people, they're either too scared to try, or they treat her like she's made of glass, or like she can't understand. You see her." Maya felt her throat tighten. "She's easy to see," she said quietly. "She's got the brightest eyes in this whole diner." Lily made a small sound, a soft vocalization that Bull clearly understood, because his eyes grew suspiciously bright before he looked away, clearing his throat. They fell into a steady rhythm. Maya feeding Lily, Bull and his brothers eating and talking in low voices about roads traveled and roads still to come. Maya learned they were riding from California to Texas, that Bull had recently become a single father when Lily's mother decided raising a disabled child wasn't the life she'd signed up for. That these from men scary-looking bikers with leather vests, tattoos, and thunderous motorcycles had appointed themselves Lily's uncles and protectors. "Milkshake time?" Maya asked when most of the food was gone. Lily's eyes lit up, and Maya laughed softly. "I'll take that as a yes." She held the cup steady while Lily drank, remembering how important it was not to rush, how breaks mattered. Bull had finished his meal and was now just watching, his expression softer than when he'd first walked in. "You're really good at this," Gunnar said. "You work with disabled kids or something." "My cousin Sophia," Maya explained. "She's 12 now. Her mom works 2 jobs. So, I help when I can. She's taught me a lot about patience, and how the best conversations don't always need words." When Lily had finished, Maya gently wiped her mouth with a napkin. "You did such a good job, Lily. I'm so proud of you." Lily's eyes locked onto hers, and Maya felt her heart squeeze at the gratitude and connection shining there. Bull cleared his throat. "What do we owe you for your time?" Maya stood, collecting plates. "For feeding a beautiful little girl who just made my whole evening better. Not a cent." Bull started to protest, but Maya met his gaze, firm and kind. "Some things aren't done for money," she said. "They're done because they're right. Because everyone deserves kindness." She looked at Lily. "Because she's worth it." In that moment, the entire table seemed to fall quiet, as if everyone felt the weight of those words. If this part made your chest tighten, take a second and comment, "She's worth it." Bull stood suddenly, his chair scraping against the floor. For a moment, Maya thought she might have overstepped, might have offended him. But then this mountain of a man, this Hell's Angel, with his scary presence and hard life etched into every line of his face, pulled out his wallet and took out not money, but a business card. "This has my number," he said, pressing it into her hand. "I'm serious about this. If you ever need anything at all, you call me." "Car trouble?" Rent, someone giving you problems. You call. His voice dropped lower, more intense. You showed my daughter dignity tonight. You saw her as a person, not a problem. That's rare. That's precious. And that means you're family now. You understand. Maya looked down at the card, then back up at Bull. His eyes were fierce with sincerity. Around him, his brothers nodded in agreement. Thank you, Maya managed, her eyes stinging with unexpected tears. The bikers paid their bill, leaving a tip 3 times the cost of the meal. Before they left, Snake, Razor, Torch, and Gunner each shook Maya's hand, thanking her for her kindness. Bull carefully moved Lily's wheelchair toward the door but paused at the threshold. Maya, he called. She looked up from clearing the table. I meant what I said. Family in our world is sacred. Don't forget that. Maya nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. She watched through the window as Bull carefully transferred Lily into a specially modified sidecar, securing her with the practiced ease of a father who had done this countless times. The wheelchair was folded and strapped to another bike. Engines roared, and they pulled away in formation, Bull leading with his precious cargo beside him. The diner felt quieter after they left, emptier somehow. That was something, Rosie said, coming out from the kitchen. 40 years running this place, and I've never seen anything like it. They're good people, Maya said softly, still holding the card. The best ones usually come in unexpected packages, Rosie replied. Your grandma would be proud. Maya returned to her closing duties, but her mind stayed with Lily's bright eyes and Bull's gratitude. She didn't think she'd ever see them again. She was wrong. 3 weeks later, the familiar rumble returned. Bull and his crew became regulars. When Maya's car broke down, it was mysteriously fixed and detailed. When her apartment burned down, they showed up with furniture and clothes. Family helps family, Bull had said. 6 months later, Maya applied to nursing school. She couldn't afford it until a full scholarship appeared in her name. When she called Bull, crying, he said simply, you fed my daughter when you didn't have to. You saw her. That's an investment worth making. For years later, Maya graduated at the top of her class. Bull and the crew sat front row, Lily between them. Bull handed Maya a small box, a silver pendant shaped like an angel with motorcycle wings. Family forever was engraved on the back. You're the daughter I never had, Bull said. I love you too, Dad, Maya replied today. Maya runs a support program for parents of disabled children, funded by an annual motorcycle rally led by Bull and Lily, smiling proudly from her custom sidecar. Because heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear a leather vest. And sometimes they're waitresses who take 20 minutes to feed a little girl and change everything. If this story stayed with you, don't scroll past, share it, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, would you have done what Maya did?